What's up? It's the Spiritual Evolution Podcast. My name is Brian.Doyle. I wanted to quickly make a video because I just had a realization that I think might help some people. And sometimes I think I'm personally way too quick to make a video like this when I come to a realization, and then maybe it doesn't quite actually settle into my system so that I'm actually not able to take in what I'm actually telling you. But the times are so urgent right now that I think it's important regardless. So basically the realization that I just came to was, first of all, right now in the world, there's a lot of doom and gloom, right? We have the Epstein files. We have a lot of opportunities for people to go down the rabbit hole, right? And so I think that because I've gone down this path before, there is almost the same level of ignorance in this community. So let's give an example. The technocracy truthers, right? So let's just say it's the technocracy truthers that I'm kind of talking about. So the people who are saying we're going into a technocracy, everything's going to be on the blockchain, and we're all going to have central bank digital currencies, and we're all going to eat, bugs and all of that stuff. And there is a lot of truth in the fact that this is a plan. There are elites, there are conspiracies that are true, there are all of these things, and we actually do need to understand that. We have to understand that there is truth in this. Materially, this is true. With our senses, we can figure out that these things are true. With our intellect, with our intelligence, we can figure out that these conspiracies are true, right? But the problem is, all of these people and all of these truther movements, as good as they may be for the beginning of the path, they get stuck in the intellect and in this mode of thinking. The problem is they have an unconscious longing for the spirit, for spiritual truths, for spiritual scientific truths. Just like the political activist who still thinks the system is fine and doesn't believe in conspiracy theories, right? So it's the same thing. It actually might be worse. And here's why: because it creates a negativity. It creates a negative vibration, a fear vibration that you then take in, and you then are not positive about the world at all. You become negative about the world. You become shut off to the world. You take in the fear rather than being positive and trying to impact the world. You then withdraw from the world. You go and you say, I need to leave the country because it's that bad. And guess what? It is that bad. That's the hard part, right? These things are happening, right? But the thing that we have to understand is we can't withdraw. We have to be in the world, but not of the world, right? So it has to be a balance of those two things. And right now it's becoming increasingly harder to find that balance. I understand that intimately. And the thing is, again, these are two sides of the same coin, right? So yes, we do have to be, even politically active, dare I say. we can't just give up on the system, because then the system works on in an objective way. It works on without us, without Christ. It works on because Christ works through us. So we have to work in the system, in the society. And we have to actually contribute to the society, even if the society is breaking down. We have to, work with neighbors, communities, volunteer, go out and do things in the real world, take action in the real world, rather than withdrawing and just becoming a bad journalist, right? Or a spiritual researcher that is, not up to snuff, like me. Or, like Steiner says in his lectures, I think that most of his stuff is about finding this middle way, right? It's not about withdrawing from society and just studying spiritual science and working on our inner life. That's all important. But it's more important to then take that and go out into the world, right? To be the best mailman that you can possibly be, to be the best truck driver, to be the most patient truck driver, to not run by people on the road because they're going too slow or something, right? Or doing something that gives them a sense of fear or a bad sense in the way that they're operating. So all these little things we can do in the world, out there in the world, even as bad as it is, because all the conspiracies have been proven to be true. But if you've been studying spiritual science, you would know that, right? You would know the secret brotherhoods that are working behind the scenes. You would know that Epstein is an arm of the secret brotherhoods. And you would have been keeping up with these things, right? You would not have, fallen asleep to these things, right? If with as a spiritual scientist, as an anthroposophist, we do have to keep up with these material truths, right? But we also have to understand we live in the spiritual world. That's our true home, right? We're here temporarily to do work in the world, and so we have to do our best that way. We have to try to guide the direction of the outer world in a good way, right? With Christ in mind. But again, there's this unconscious longing that people have right now, and I think that it's coming out in the Epstein files, right? All these people who are doing all this research and making, all this content, and they think they're, again, in some ways we do have to know these things, and there are good people doing this work, okay? These are good, people that are trying to get the truth out there. That's great. But what's the next step? Because I think that that's what I think we're being called to. I don't think we're being called to fall down the doom rabbit hole right now, right? I think we're being called to something higher. And spiritual science is that higher ground, because it can look at these things objectively and understand that there are spiritual beings at work behind these things, that there are spiritual, that we can understand these people in the spirit that's working behind them in the secret brotherhoods, and try to just, because I think that people have a longing for truth, right? People have a longing for truth, and that's really what it is. Spiritual science is the deepest truth that we can find. And it will be that way, for hundreds more years probably, that spiritual science will be the deepest truth we can find until, the next phase that comes through of spiritual understanding and spiritual truth. But I just wanted to make this video today because I'm personally falling down the rabbit hole as well. So if you're out there and you're like, studying the Epstein stuff, and you're, horrified, and, you're, you think it's all over, understand that this is also part of the plan, right? The divine beings, they set it up this way. We needed to have intelligent machines. We needed to have the material intellect, right? The opinions and the finding the truth. All of these things are part of our destiny, part of our karma collectively for a reason, right? So we have to understand that. And I think when we understand that the conspiracy stuff is almost the same, it's the same thing, just the other side of the coin, right? As the political activist person watching CNN, etc., right? It's the same thing. It's people who have a longing for something, for truth. That's what it is. And that's good. That's so good that we have that, right? People are not giving up because people are trying to seek truth. And I think that that's where spiritual science comes in, because it is the deepest truth. I know I've said this now a couple times. I'm going in a little bit of a circle, but I'm just trying to make the point that we need truth in our time, and we need to work together as a society within that truth, with that truth in mind. Thanks.